being here. Appreciate it very much. So as our team comes out, I just want to start off by, on a kind of a personal note, but being in Washington yesterday for President Carter's funeral it was a great experience in terms of democracy and work and parties coming together and really providing a president, a former president, with a just due. I thought that if anybody saw it, to have Vice President Mondale's son and President Ford's son read eulogies that they actually wrote while prior to the president's death, obviously, but that was powerful. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here this afternoon to tell Rhode Islanders we have had a connection to the who have had a connection to the Rhode Island Bridges system to watch their mail. Today, Asperian is mailing letters to individuals whose data was stored in the Rhode Island Bridge system managed by Deloitte and whose personal information may have been compromised. I learned yesterday that this letter was going to be out today as opposed to early next week, and that's why we're here today to continue to provide information directly to the people in the state whose information has been compromised. The letters will have the state seal in the top left corner. And if you're like me, I don't read my mail very often, and so let's pay special attention to the mailings that'll be coming over the next week or so. Translated versions for clients who speak Spanish and Portuguese have also been sent. We expect that it may take several days for this information to reach recipients. That letter will provide the recipient with a code and directions to access 5 years of free credit monitoring. If there's a minor whose information may have been compromised, that minor will have a separate code to access free credit monitoring. For this mailing, the deadline to sign up for the free credit monitoring is April 30th of this year. As a reminder, Deloitte is still reviewing the contents of all the breach files. It is likely that more individuals will be identified in the future. If that proves to be the case, additional letters will be mailed once those names are identified. If you think you are impacted and do not receive a letter in the next few days, we ask you to be patient and give the mail a couple additional days to arrive before immediately calling this hotline. We do not have the ability to verify if you have been impacted over the phone or through the field offices. Information about the letters will be available on our dedicated website, cyberalert.ri.gov. And access to the letter that'll be mailed will be posted there as well, and we're making provisions to have that in translation in multiple languages. If you have other questions, you can call Rhode Island Bridges Call Center at 833-918-6603. Hours of operation are available at cyberalert.ri.gov. And we know that this remains a concerning situation for the people who have been impacted, and we appreciate your patience while the letters are delivered. I can just say that every effort is being made on customer service to provide this information that is important to you on an as-needed basis. And make sure I'll repeat that phone number again, 833-918-6603. And we're pleased at this point, very pleased, and Kim Brittle is here along with our director of the health resource, Lindsay's here as well, to kind of give a overview if they're asked in terms of the benefits that are continually being provided in a timely way. Again, the most important message for Rhode Islanders to hear is please watch your mailbox for this letter. And I'll just say for information to the media that's here today, we will talk about Rhode Island bridges, take all your questions on that, and then I'll have a statement on the homelessness, and then we'll take your questions if you have questions after I make the statement on that. So I'll hand it over to Brian, Chief Digital Officer. And Brian, thank you, and thank you for the whole crew for the work that you're doing at this point in time.
Thank you, Governor. Brian Tardif, Chief Digital Officer. Good afternoon, everyone. From a technology and cybersecurity perspective, we continue to focus our effort in a few distinct areas. At this point in time, we have received the summary report of the security incident from Deloitte. We have also received the draft summary report from our third-party vendor, validating that the security threat has been remediated. The findings in these reports provide us a high level of confidence that we know how the breach was executed and that we have taken the appropriate measures to ensure the system can be restored safely. These reports contain sensitive security information about the system and cannot be publicly shared, but we are working with our third-party vendor and others to provide as many details as we can from the reports. The second line of effort is to evaluate the data that was compromised. Deloitte is in the process of reviewing data released on the dark web. This time-consuming process includes ensuring the files are not corrupt, are free of malicious software, and then validation of the data. The third line of effort is the restoration of RIBridges systems. We are executing a two-phase restoration plan and have completed phase 1, state caseworker access. We are now well into phase 2, which is the restoration of the public-facing features. This work entails security checks, performance checks, and reintegration with partners that share data with the RIBridges environment. Part of the reintegration work is reassuring our partners that the system is safe, which has been attested to by a third-party vendor. We continue to target a mid-January restoration of a secure and stable RIBridges. Director Rhode.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you, Governor, for everything and everyone gathered here today for this update. Kim Brito, Department of Human Services. With access for staff to the worker portal, DHS has been able to work through new paper applications received since the start of the RIBridges. Also, remember that the customer portal, which is our healthyrhoderi.gov, and phone by calling 1-855-697-4347, in person at any of our DHS field offices across the state or by mail. And all of our locations are listed on the dhs.ri.gov website. Again, all of our offices are open for business. We are extending hours in those locations and in our call center as well. Next week, our call center will be open from 4 to 7, Monday through Friday. Thank you.
I think we're ready for questions.
Agency in the state, and she said no. Why? Why she lied to the community that you got no help from other agencies?
Well, so I don't know what the comment was, but I can tell you that, and in fact, we've got a couple of people in the back of the room there that are thoroughly involved in the customer service, and I paid a visit to DHS office too. Yes. Yes.
Why she lied to me last week?
Yeah, I don't believe that I.
Ask you a question.
Sure.
How many organizations or agencies are helping DHS? Are you saying none, zero?
So I'm sorry if I misunderstood the question that
No, you
was
didn't
asked to me
You replied
last
the question
week.
very well.
So I'd be happy to respond if you give me a moment. So we have a tremendous amount of providers, including all of our sister state agencies that are helping us to ensure that benefits are getting across the line. But what we do not have is any contractors or any support in our offices doing any eligibility work. When that question came to me last week, that is how I responded. So we do not have any contractors assisting us in getting that work done, but we have a tremendous amount of partners in the community that work with us, that are sister state agencies, that we all have a consistent message that we're working with Rhode Islanders. But in terms of processing applications and working in the access we have to our worker portal now, it is 100% the state staff that are doing that. So I apologize if I made a mistake in answering that or not being clear last week. Of course.
Yeah, I think Kim clarified that she answered the question that she thought she heard, but I can just tell you that the work that's happening over in that office is second to none, and the reason that the work is getting done because of the work is, but the support of the customer service is coming from multiple departments, whether it's going into our Health Source Rhode Island, or it's coming into our Medicaid, or our Department of Health, or the DOA. I mean, the list is long, so we're meeting regularly on it.
Governor, how many letters are going out and how many people have been impacted?
Yeah, so the exact number, I'll let Jonathan answer that question, but it's right in the range that we predicted.
So 657,000 people are what the impacted number of individuals are, but 709,000 letters are going out. And there's a difference there, obviously, and that has a lot to do with people that have guardian relationships or parents. They all need to be also notified, so some of them have multiple letters.
At this point, what can you tell us about the reports we've received from Deloitte, and why isn't the state insisting that a representative from Deloitte come and answer the public's questions?
So we are ensuring that Deloitte is responding appropriately and restoring the system. That's the focus of their efforts. We have just recently received these reports, and we are now at the point where we are sharing those reports with legal entities across the state to ensure that we're able to share the appropriate information at the right time without compromising the state systems.
Here's that some of the data that's been released on the dark web includes information like child support system payments. So that's something that hadn't been mentioned at these press conferences until now. Are there other areas like that that you can share that may have been impacted?
I can't share that at this time. Like I stated, Deloitte is actively downloading the data and assessing. It's a lengthy and extensive process that we want to make sure that we get right.
So two things. What is the approximate cost of free credit monitoring and identity theft insurance for 5 years and lifetime identity restoration for 657,000 people?
A lot.
So as part of the contractual relationship with Deloitte, they're required to handle those things, and whatever it costs is what they will pay. I don't have an answer for you on the exact figure, but we will work on getting that. I will say that, we've been working with Deloitte, and we've had expenses on the state side besides their own expenses, and, they're providing support to make sure that we can pay for those.
Pay all of it? They're not asking you to share the cost at all?
Of the credit monitoring, is
And
what
the
you're asking?
insurance and all that?
Yes.
Okay, and then real quick, people move a lot, and so if someone had benefits a few years ago, they're no longer a benefit recipient, how do you know you have the right address?
No, that's a great question, and, as you have time go on, you're absolutely right. People move, things change. Experience worked with commercial databases to try to make sure that we have the most up-to-date addresses. However, we are going to try to follow up where people have provided things like email addresses in the system previously. We'll follow up with emails after the fact, and Experian will also get returned letters as things happen, and those returned letters are going to get put into another file that we're going to have to try to work through even more diligently to make sure that they get those notices eventually. Yeah, well, what we're asking is people wait for the letters to be received first, given the volume and how much we have out there. But at some point, we might make that ask.
Would anyone be able to outline the specific timeline for how long that free credit monitoring will be available to residents?
Yeah, it's 5 years of monitoring, but then it's also lifetime for identity theft protection.
Have you guys received any reports thus far of any residents that have actually lost money as a result of this breach?
We have not, no.
Hi. We received a few complaints from people who have paid for their health insurance through HealthSource RI in December, only to find out that they don't have health insurance coverage now in January. Is the data breach at all affecting people's health insurance coverage, and what should people do if they paid for their insurance and now don't have it?
Great question. The short answer is no. The data breach specifically is not going to impact coverage that's been paid for. As you know, in past press conferences, I have spoken about the different ways that people can make a payment. That would include an auto payment that's set up in the customer's account. They can call the HealthSource RI contact center and make a payment that way, and they can also go to CVS. But I would also stress that our call center is available if there are specific questions. I don't want to comment on a particular account, but we are picking up the phone in under a minute. So if anybody does have a specific concern, they should reach out and we can help troubleshoot that.
Great. And switching gears a little bit, is there any indication that there are more files that could still be released on the dark web as a result of this breach?
That's part of the assessment that's ongoing by Deloitte. The site is intermittently inaccessible, so there's challenges there. They've downloaded a majority of the files, but that's part of the assessment to validate what we understand has been taken versus what has been posted.
Governor, has the state of Rhode Island received any demand letters, been served with any litigation, any preservation orders for evidence? And as a follow-up, for all of that, what engagement does the Attorney General have in this process, particularly with regards to potential litigation against the state?
So I'll answer that very quickly, and if Jonathan wants to weigh in, because he's the one who's in conversations. So the legal matters will be centralized with the Attorney General.
I'll add that we have been asked to preserve documents relative to the investigation. And so you asked that specific question. We have been, that notification.
At any level, there has been any correspondence with any firms representing current or potential litigants?
So that would be directed to the Attorney General's office.
You wouldn't be aware of that then?
No, I know where it exists, but that correspondence wouldn't be to us. It would be to the
Well,
Attorney
can
General's
you share with us what you know about the situation?
Other than that exists, no.
Okay, so there has been, just for the, finally, thank you for the record, there has been correspondence with potential litigants as opposed to, so there is potential for lawsuits.
I don't know about any correspondence.
Okay.
I know that it exists.
Just wanted to clarify, when did the state get the initial reports from Deloitte summarizing what they believe has happened?
So I can't recall the exact date at this point, but that report initially from Deloitte was about a week ago, and we're working to validate that report with our third-party vendor. We want to make sure that what has been reported by Deloitte is factual.
Further information about the report until the third-party vendor validates it?
We do intend to release information from the reports that do not compromise any potential legal action or the system security.
Okay, we're shifting gears. And I want to just thank, again, all the leadership that is working on this very pressing matter, which is of utmost importance to our administration. So I want to just address the subject of homelessness, which is certainly top of mind for many, especially in the winter months. I want to begin the discussion around issuing an emergency, about issuing an emergency declaration. A common misconception is that an emergency declaration would make more federal funding available for the situation, and it would not. And I think we need to, clarify many things that are reported, but individuals are providing information to the media that is inaccurate, and I think we need to kind of make sure that those issues are addressed. We have, however, directed an unprecedented amount of funding